Okay, welcome everyone here in oostkamp. I'm very pleased to have always have international groups to visit this wonderful building. This is a very international project because our architect from Spain, I'm very personal people from Spain too. Maybe some of them know him. I'm not only talking about the building, but also about the concept and how we prepare this building. In fact, this building is the result of our vision. We had a very strong vision on our identity and on the way we want to organize our services here in oostkamp. So we are a neighbor city municipality of Bruges, well known, internationally well known. We have a more modern city town hall than Bruges. So if you want history, then you go to Bruges. If you want the future, then you come to oostkamp. So you're on the right spot for the future. They didn't like it in Bruges if I said that. I can't say it here. So it's important to tell you the story and the concept, so you have an idea. I heard that your main goal of your visit is city marketing and regional development. So I think it can be an important element if you have a strong city, even small cities, because we're rather small. So we have 23,000 inhabitants here. So we are a neighbor of Bruges, but even here, of course, not people of oostkamp, but people of Belgium, of Flanders, think that we are a part of Bruges because we are so close. And in fact, if you take your car from Bruges to here, you never mention that you're from Bruges to oostkamp. So we are really close to Bruges. So first of all, the title of this project is the Senior Quasi-Administrative Center. This was a statement. It's we picked it from the surrealistic painter Denis Magritte. You know him. It's a famous Belgian painter who had his painting Cecina Pas un Piep, which was a statement because of his picture that was on his painting was a peep. So this is a real statement. Because first of all, this is not just another administrative center. This is a very atypical building to have your services, your public services, because in fact it's an old factory. I can tell you that when I first launched the idea to the mayor to organize everything here, he thought I was totally mad. So this building, our new town hall, no, not at all. That was his first reaction. Now he's one of the biggest promoters. We forgot that. So we want to make a strong statement to make clear also to the architect, and that's one of the reasons why it's a Spanish, it became a Spanish architect, because he really understood what we want to do here, and he really listened to our project and what we want to organize. Most of the Flemish architects who get into the competition for this building, they just thought, oh, this is a new town hall. We know what a town hall is, so we just make copy-paste of all the town halls already existing. That was not what Carlos did. Here you see one of the first renders, so the first pictures, designs of the building. I can tell you that when people saw this, the local politicians, then they thought, well, this is some graphic design. Is this real? Is this possible to realize? If you look out of that window, then you see that it's possible to realize. What you see here is also technically high-tech. This is never realized in the world. So they studied for 4 months how to realize this structure. You have to notice that it's only 7 millimeters thick, and it's very, very strong. Very strong and light. Okay. So, very quick, normally the presentation is 1 hour, but I'll make it a little bit shorter. Location, approach preparations, concept development, realization, involvement in communication. Location, just, it's not so important for you, but just to let you see that we are here now. This is the center of municipality of the city. So we are on the border of the center, but very close. So everything is very connected by bike and by foot, so very close to the center. This is the building. It's 40,000 square meter, the whole project site. The building itself is 11,000 square meter on one level. So this was a former storage place of Coca-Cola, a well-known factory. So you have to imagine this was just one hall with all crates with Coca-Cola and Fanta and things like that. That's the building as it was. So in fact, the building is just what it was. It got another color, and also the windows are new. But from the outside, it's just the same building as it was just before. So there's also a very strong statement from the architect who said, we have to reuse it. This was not mentioned, or this is not built to be a city hall, but we're going to reuse it. It's not recycling, he called it upcycling. We give it a better and more value than, in fact, what was the first intention. Okay, project scores, very quick. 2005, there was an announcement of the closure of the Coca-Cola company here. In fact, it all started with very bad news, because if you lose a company for such a city as Oostkamp, that's very horrible. We lost here 250 jobs, so it's not easy to deal with that. In 2006, the purchase of the site, that's a story of itself. I won't tell that, but nobody believed we could buy this site, because in fact they want to go to a broker in Paris or in London just to put all the sites together in Europe they want to sell. So we realized that before they went to Paris or to London, we could buy it in advance. In 2007, we had the first ideas. It was a very difficult moment when we buy the site, because at that point, in fact, we didn't have any experience with such a scale of projects. So it's quite difficult to buy such a site and how to deal with it, how to organize it. So that was why we rent, in fact, a project manager who was experienced in this type of projects on this scale. Then we had an open call. I don't know if you know the Flemish Bouwmeester. In fact, it's a Flemish institute. It's an architect who supports the governments to realize good and qualitative architecture. So it's a support from the Flemish government also to the local government. So at the open call is in fact an architect competition on European level, and it gives us the opportunity to bring this project into a European competition. As Oostkamp ourselves, it was never possible to organize that. If we organize that, no architect in Madrid will say, oh, this is an interesting project. They would say Oostkamp, that's it. But because it's in the open call from the Flemish Bouwmeester, it was picked up. So the concept in 2009, we had a big crisis in 2010 about the budget. In 2011, started the construction works. In 2012, the conclusion of construction in the book. So we are now for 3 years here on this site, and the results also in the way we organize our services is much better than we expected ever. So we had a totally new type of organization and dynamic here on this site. Good. The vision of the city council, very important, was that we want a new organization with the public services as a starting point. So not just a new building and we put everything together and everyone gets 20% more and everyone is satisfied. No. We just said we want a real new organization and we start from scratch. It's another way of thinking about how to organize the public service. Very important was must be a multifunctional and flexible use of the space because of the huge site. The city council really asked this must be very flexible in use and multi-level use. So it's not only for the administration. And that's also the way it's dealing and it's working now. So we had big parties here, we had events here, there have been films and series already here filmed, so it's really used for different things on different types of the day. Okay, then project manager was Vectors. It's an office from Leuven, quite now here in Flanders. Triple goal was project definition, then a master plan for the region, and then also project guidance till the architect starts his job. The project manager was very, very important for us because he asked the right questions. He triggered the city council and the mayor to think about what we really want, what was realistic with the budget. And if you ask politicians what they want to realize everything, but there's only budget for 20% of it, so it's I think you know this kind of discussions. So it was really important to ask the right questions to the city council, to the mayor. To show you how important the project manager was, I showed you one of his slides. It was from 2007, so before we started and before we get the architect. We had different workshops and discussions and really discussed hours and hours how we want to organize our public service. What's the quality of reception and what's the quality of the public service we want to organize, and how we're going to organize that. And in fact, we decided to do it in 3 levels. The first level, in fact, is the main door. When you enter the building, but also when you enter, or you just click on the website, or you just phone to the general number, that's the main gate. And in fact, we have to think about how we can help people as soon as possible. Not from the dimension of the organization or the logic of the administration. If you have that question, but that's for that service or for the other service. No, you have a question and we have to support, we have to think how to organize, of how to fix the solution. So the first level, we want to help the people as soon and as much as possible. Then, that's also the general info and the reception. Here, what we call the total hall. So, in fact, the reception is not just a reception to say hello, welcome, and this is the next step. No, they also help you there. It's like a kind of shop for all the short services you can go to the front desk. Then the second level, is in fact the clusters. So we don't have the different services separated. We have 3 main clusters where everything is integrated. So the citizens go to one cluster. How we organize it in the back office, that's our problem. They just have to go to one of the clusters. So it's a very, very easy step or way for them to get into our service. And then the third level is the very specialized things. If you have very specific questions or you need a really high-level employee for explaining something, then you have, in fact, the third level, which is face-to-face contact, one-by-one, or with 2. So, in fact, this concept is literally translated into the building. So the architect translates our vision, our concept, into this building. And of course, that's why it's so interesting and so nice to work here, because he translates our vision into the building. Of course, we were lucky that we had so much space. If you have 11,000 square meters, you can organize something. But of course, it's also organized that way that all the space here is flexible space. So we can reorganize things, because this vision and this situation in 20 years, it will be totally changed. But we can also change the organization, and we can change the building into a new concept and a new vision. So that's here. Is that clear for everyone? Talking Chinese? Okay. So here you see how our organization is organized. So we have, very important is this line. This is the division between front office and back office. We say people are only interested in front office. How we organize the back office, that's our problem. We don't have to communicate about the back office. So in fact, for people, we have the general info, told how, living in social, city planning and environment, leisure. These are the 3 clusters and the 3 front desks you find here. So if you want to build a house, you don't have to think like that, have to go there and there. No, you just go city planning and environment, and then we organize everything in the back office. So simple, just for them, one step. Of course, it's hard work every day, but for the citizens, it's simple. Okay, also a slide from 2008, but also from project manager. We also thought about what type of building we want. This was a very difficult discussion and a very difficult workshop, because you have to deal with politicians who are in fact not so much interested in architecture. and also not involved in architecture. You have to see we are a rather small city, so we're not Bruges, we're not Ghent, we're not Antwerp. A lot of people who visit the building say, you don't expect this type of building in such a small municipality like Oostkamp. This is something you expect in Ghent or in Brussels or in Antwerp. So the project manager went to a few workshops with politicians to think about the architecture and how to deal with architecture. It was not, the idea was not that they have to design the building, luckily. It was just thinking what type of building we want. And in fact, the consensus was we want an attractive city hall and civic center. It must be attractive for the employees, but also for the visitors, also for the politicians. So, invites to visit. That's up to you. How do you find it? Invites to work. Also very important here is the competition with the private sector and other governmental services. So if you are in good position on the job market, then you can get good employees. And for the moment, we are also very successful in that. To give you an idea, we have a new function now for one administrative employee. We have 300 candidates just for one job. So that's luxury. Some of the cities here in the neighborhoods have problems to find good candidates for one job, 300. So my problem is how to deal with that and how to select for that one job. And also the symbolic value of democracy, the council chamber, that's where we are here. The idea was we want a very open space so people can see here is the meetings of the city council, that people can see what happens here. We have nothing to hide, everything is open. So here people walk and can bike, here you can walk. During the city council you can just see what we are doing here. So I show you this because to show how important it is to prepare and to think about things in advance. Most of the project starts, you have an architect and then they start thinking, no, that's too late. Then the architect starts thinking, and he thinks another way because he didn't deal with the organization and the vision of the organization. Well, of course, only in the small, he wants to design it. So that was very important. Well, that's the master plan. That was the open. We go through this. So then we get the architect, that was Carlos Arroyo from Madrid. Of course, it was not easy. And the first meeting when we have to choose the architects, the first reaction of the mayor was, oh, an architect from Spain. Tricky, huh? How we want to deal with also the language. We were afraid of the language, but Carlos speaks English very well. So that was no problem, but it was very difficult to make that choice. And immediately the city council asked, we want a cooperation with a Flemish architect office to be sure that everything is okay with all the regulations and that it's fixed also here. It's of course a very interesting idea to go to court in Madrid, which was not necessary, but we want to be sure that also on the dash part everything was okay. So it was a cooperation with the ELD partnership from Antwerp. This was a very, very strong cooperation. And they called it the cooperation, it's difficult to translate, the cloud builders. That was their cooperation. So the architect, very important, he really starts from the needs and the expectations of the client. It was very intensive. I went to Madrid several times on my own costs because the city council said, well, it's not necessary. But for me, it was very necessary to really know the architect, to discuss with him, to see what he realized in Spain. So it was very intensive, very strong involvement and engagement from his side. Very creative solutions for very complex challenges. So what you see here, the white circles, this is like a kind of tapestry, and but in fact it's motion paper, and it's for the acoustics. So if he explained this to the contractor, I want this in a circle, then the contractor is totally creative. So then you find a way to also place this type of bubbles in paper, and it's very effective for the construction. It's just a funny detail, but they went to the university, technical university of Delft and Paris to calculate the sound here in the building because of the special sculpture. They didn't find software who can measure it here, because it was too complex. So it's nice to hear this. It's too complicated to measure it with software. Very important from the architect, and also a very important point was he had an eye and he was very involved into the whole thing, also for the culture of the house. What's really happening here, what's living into the organization. I can show you one picture. This is what we call the stove. So in fact, this was a fireplace by the blue-collar workers. And he saw that it was a very social place where they meet each other. Get to chit-chat and see. And he said, I take this into the new building so that they find something from their old place in the new place. You will see the new, modern, pimped fireplace later on. Okay, the building contractor. So was BAM CDMA. It's one of the biggest contractors here in Belgium. For them, this was a very, very little project. It was just something aside. We choose for one contractor, which is very unusual here, because most of the time they divide these types of projects into 5, 6 or more parts and different contractors. We just want one contractor to be sure that everything is very good and well integrated. It was a real partner. In fact, we hoped, and that was what we get, to find a contractor who was really into this project to show what they really can technically. And that was also why they choose for this project. Also the slide for quality, of course. That other part is for VLM, the Flemish Land Corporation. We work together with the Flemish, and also the owners of there's a shopping mall over there, you will see that. It was a very closed area, but now it's open, so people can park their car on the shopping mall and can come here to the back entrance, which is also the main entrance. So we had also the schools, we had a corporation. Then the cost purchase of the site, 5,700,000. The construction, 6,500,000, and the landscaping, 1 million euro. In fact, this is rather cheap. Of course, this is not a lot of money, but if you see what we get for that budget, then we get a lot of things in return. It was also very important. The City Council was very afraid, for one thing, that this would be a fantastic building, but with an outrageous budget afterwards. So the mission for me was clear: stay in your budget.
Yeah. Does that include the architect's fees?
Sorry?
Does that include the architect's fees?
No, no. The architect fee was 10%. This is not included here, no. So in fact, we had a special committee who really followed the finance, and we landed below 10% extra cost. I swear that in the Belgian Flemish context, that's very well done, and also on that part, it's a very unique concept. So we realized it within the budget.
Where did the money come from?
Sorry?
Where did the money come from? Was it just the city council?
Just the city council. Everything is paid by this city, yes. There was a very, very little amount from Europe for the landscaping project, but that was only 100,000 euros. So that's nothing in the total budget. Okay, also very important, involvement and communication. First of all, on the level of the city council, all parties, so minority, majority, get into this project. So everyone realized that this is so important, and this was a unique chance to realize this, that everyone supported. During the whole process, everyone voted for every step. It's very unique, it's very unusual. Normally it's majority, minority, but everyone realized this is so important, this is something we have to do for oostkamp, that they supported all. That's of course a very, very strong and very nice way of working if all your politicians support this project. It was of course also not from one on another day. We worked very hard on that, but at the end everyone was totally involved. They were also very well informed. So I told you already about the financial situation, but also the progress of the whole project. They were very, very well informed. There were periods that we see each other every week to tell them the good things, but also the bad things. So very open communication, and that makes that everyone was totally into this project. Of course, it's also very, very important, it's also a very tricky one, to inform your staff, your employees, from the beginning. I have so many groups here visiting the project and they say, oh, we are preparing the project, we're going to open it in 3 months, and now we're going to start, how can we communicate with our employees? That's too late, then it's over. From the really starting the project, you have to communicate, to organize workshops, so people, in fact, a lot of the ideas that are realized here are ideas from employees. You don't have to discuss how to organize the desk if you never sit at the desk. You have to organize the desk with people who know what it is to sit every day on the desk. So that's very important. We have, of course, different types of ways of communication. Also, the advisory councils and the residents were informed. They were not really participating in the project. I know for new projects that we also starting up participation from village residents, but we didn't do that on a very, very small scale. So my last Star Alliance, I realized that I was very lucky. I had the city council who really decided to do this, and I can tell you that now it's easy. You can see the realization that everyone is happy and everyone is into this project. But the moment they have to decide about this building was a very tricky moment, because in fact it was like jumping out of a plane. They told you there was a parachute, we didn't check it. So maybe it worked, maybe not, but it worked. No, we didn't need a parachute. So Star Alliance, your city council, a very good architect, who was a fantastic architect, became a friend of me, a very good contractor, who really realized the building was a very qualitative level, and of course a very good staff, a very good team of people. This is of course not a one-man show. This is a real team who worked very hard for several years on this project, and till today, every day, to realize and to work with this. Okay, that was my presentation. If there are questions now, I would say go ahead, otherwise we can start the walk around. No further questions?
What is the material?
In fact, it's a combination, it's specifically created for this. It's a material they use in the shipping industry. And in fact, it's a combination of polyester fibers and plastic. Yeah, but it's a special mix. It's a secret mix. No. In fact, it's built up like an igloo. So there are pieces 3 by 2.5 meters, and they build up the whole thing on a skeleton of aluminum. And then it's painted.
Because this is quite coriander, is it?
No, it's just wood. It's not correct. It was too expensive. I'm happy it looks like wood. It is carbon from now. It is carbon.
Did you specifically have you also work on the energy, like heating and electricity?
Yes, that's the story. The architect called it the onion heating system. So we have different layers of heating here. So this space is heated in a normal way. The whole public space is not heated or not cooled. But there is a layer between the roof and the ceiling, and this works as an insulation. And of course, air is the best insulation. So the air, the heated air is used and reused. So the air between the ceiling and the roof is in fact the polluted air from the offices and from the big wall. But this is reused there. And at the end of the whole process, the last heat is also extracted from the air out. That's very simple. That's a very technical one, but that's a simple concept.
I remember when I did the jury, they said that, for instance, the temperature in public spaces, because people aren't there not for a very long time, is a bit lower than when you get into
In fact, the idea is that it's now in the public space, it's a few degrees more than outside. It's warmer outside. And in the summer, it's a few degrees lower. And that's because of the volume and the insulation of the air. So the thing is, you use the public space the way you are dressed to go outside. That's the idea. So there are no waiting areas here. In fact, you wait outside the box. For the service, you go into the box. That's
So is that classed as an intelligent heating system?
Yes. It's an intelligent heating system in a very simple way. It's not complex that it's high tech or with a lot of software, things like that. It's a very classic system, but used and very smart.